Welcome to At Home with Joan and Monty talk show. How are you doing, Monty?
I'm very well, thank you. And I am looking forward to our guest today, which is to do with the Afrobeats music industry.
Okay, great. Let's welcome Valentine AfroBeat to the show. Hi, Valentine. How are you?
Hello.
Hey.
Hello. I'm good.
Tell us about yourself and how you got into performing.
My roots, I came from Africa, Cameroon, to be precise. I came here at the age of 9 to join my parents. And music has always been a part of me, like literally. I've always lived and breathed music since a young age. So when I came, I was always trying to find out, listen to music. And at the age of 11, my father saw how into music I was. Because my father worked in a college, there was always music events that was going on. So he put me through for me to perform. But he was quite worried and scared because I was so young. He asked me, am I ready? Am I sure I want to perform? I was like, yes, Dad, put me on stage. I'm good. I'm ready. I want to perform. And having that eagerness, and when I was on stage and seeing how people's crowd was like, and their responses, it motivated me for me to know that I can actually go ahead and do this. And by then, I started in the roots of R&B. I was brought mostly in church, so I was singing mostly in church and dancing as well. So my roots came from church, and afterwards, along the line, I started with R&B. And with R&B, I got signed into a good management deal. I went to America then when I was quite young. And during the process of me doing R&B, I just felt that I loved African music. I didn't know what it was. It touched me. And by then, I terminated my contract, came back into London, and I started doing Afrobeat ever since. I fell in love with it. Fell in love with African music and my roots.
What is this Afrobeat really like? You said you came from R&B and soul and all that there. What is actually Afrobeat?
And also, I would like to know what motivated you to enter UK X Factor.
Yeah, two good questions. I think Afrobeat is more based on the beat itself, and you're singing about the enjoyment of life, literally. It all started with Fela Kuti, a Nigerian-based artist. For those who don't know, in regards to that, but with me, there's a lot of terminology in Afrobeat, but you can't really. There isn't like a true definition itself. It's about what you listen to, and then you would understand it. You entwine your own language with English or your mother tongue, and mix it into the beat, and Afrobeat's produced. That's what I've known it as. But now it's kind of changing a little bit. So you have like the Afro dance, or there's Afro soul, but it's still Afrobeat because it celebrates Africa, literally, and African music. And that's what I define Afrobeat as, celebrating African music. And in terms of X Factor, I really don't like talking about X Factor. I really don't, but it was a wonderful experience. And people don't actually know, I actually went to Britain's Got... I didn't want to go to X Factor. I went to Britain's Got Talent because my whole artist like, and how I am like, is I sing and dance. And I felt like people wouldn't understand it if I just went to X Factor. So when I went to Britain's Got Talent, I was there. I had my dancers, we trained. We was looking to put on. I was looking to put on a great performance. But when I did put it on, they liked it too much, and then they were like, we want to put you through to X Factor instead because you've got more of a skill rather than Britain's Got Talent. But a lot of people don't actually know the process, man. It's a very difficult process, man. X Factor, the stages of it is very, very difficult. But the judges, they loved me very, very much. They really loved who I was as an artist. They loved my performance, the whole singing, the whole dancing. Nicole Scherzinger, she was quite shocked. And then I saw Simon Cowell, and Simon was so happy. She was like, wow, Sharon Osbourne was like, this is too professional, and all of that. They really loved it. And I came down, I sang my own song. I literally sang my own song because I wanted to do my own thing. So I think they found that kind of weird because I was just coming there with more control, that I wanted to do this is how I wanted it, like, because I had a build, I had an idea of what I wanted. So going through the process, I was kind of broken down because, you know, with X Factor, you have to do a lot of covers, and covers wasn't my strength. You know, I like to sing my own songs. So what really let me down is me having to go through in singing covers, which I wasn't great at. And by then I didn't really process through to the final stages. But the judges, they were a little bit disappointed because they wanted to see me go far. But, you know, such is life. I'm still happy. The experience was great. And, you know, I'm here.
What is life like after the X Factor?
To be honest with you, there's no difference. The honest truth is that X Factor gives you a short-term stardom. And that's literally it. And statistically, if you look at it, like people who have actually won X Factor as well, where are they? Do you get what I'm saying? There's nothing more important than an artist building their own platform. And sometimes people are not, artists are not educated in that. And I went through that road and I experienced that. You know, I experienced being there. You know, they give you that stardom. It's great whilst it's there, and, you know, they're pushing through. You're looking good. People are knowing about you. But what happens after that? You just go back to your normal lifestyle, and you go back to you being a normal artist and you still pushing. Do you understand what I'm saying? So you can use that little short stardom and for it to motivate you, for you to become better yourself as an artist. But it's all to do with, you know, with you working hard and you being motivated, man. That's the honest truth.
So what have you been doing since after the X Factor?
So after the X Factor, I mean, the response that I saw from people made me actually realize that, you know, I can go further with my career, that I don't need to depend on people, that I can actually push this myself and make things work. So after X Factor, I started recording, you know, a few songs Afrobeat wise. And then from there, you know, I started pushing myself as much as possible through Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. People were knowing about me. And then one promoter in Spain saw me, really liked me, and then he hooked up like a Europe tour, which was a great experience. So I went to a lot of places, Madrid. I went in Spain. I went to France. I went to Germany as well. So I toured around Europe, which gave me a great experience. After then, I didn't really stop. You know, I just kept on working hard, kept on releasing new music, and letting people know about me. The artist lifestyle itself is very difficult, but people tend not to want to talk about it. You need to be a realist. You know, to be great, you need to work hard. You know, and to become the star or the artist that you want to be, you need the blessing of God and some kind of luck that you can encounter through the roads that you're trying to reach to. So it's not easy, but you need to believe that you can do it. You need to be your biggest fan compared to anybody else. You need to wake up in the morning and tell yourself that I can do it. You know, when you're sleeping, you sleep, pray, tell yourself that next day when I wake up in the morning, I'm gonna give it a little bit more. You know, and no one else will believe in you as much as you, until you actually make and people are actually buying into the fact that, oh wow, this person is amazing, they are a good artist.
How do you write your own lyrics, and where do you get your inspiration from?
It's life experience. It's either, one thing that I love about myself is that I have to boast myself that I'm a good writer. I love writing music, and that comes with years of practice and years of experience, because I used to go to the studio quite frequently. At the beginning, it wasn't great. You know, I went to the studio, I was writing, you know, then I started to study people who wrote as well and see how they, you know, they put music together in terms of like the verses, the chorus, you know, and how great songs are normally made, and also having a relationship with the producer to make sure that songs come out the way that it needs to. And you need to have, it's hard to explain, you need to have a connection. It's like, it's a soulful thing, you know. So I can, for example, a producer can send me a beat, you know, I may not like it, you know, another producer can send me a beat and I can instantly connect to that beat. And via then I can just start writing already. Or it can be a scenario whereby, you know, there's a great producer, I have a great idea in mind, I go to the studio, I tell him I have this idea, I give him like some songs that I've heard for him to kind of compile the beat together for me. We work via then, and then as I'm hearing the beat, I'll be writing and puts the songs together. So it all depends on, you know, on all walks of life. I can be flying and I can hear like a song in my head. I'm like, wow, okay, I really like this. I'll voice note it to make sure that I remember it, you know. Or I can be having it can be a relationship problem or a family problem, anything like that. I just take that on board, write it down, knowing that I can go to the studio and produce what I need to produce.
Yeah, during this global lockdown, what adjustments did you have to make?
Oh man, I think it's just a whole new way of life now that we all need to get used to. I think a lot of people are thinking that things is gonna get better, but in fact, you know, it's a whole different aspect of life that we need to adjust ourselves in living. I had a lot of ideas and plans ahead that I was working towards too, and it just goes to show, man, you never know what tomorrow can bring. You know, just live for today and just be you know, there's a great saying, you know, yesterday was the past, today is the present, and you know, tomorrow is the future. Today being a present is a present itself that's given to you. So know that it's a gift that you're actually alive today. So you need to cherish what you have at the moment. And I think a lot of the time, you know, a lot of people don't actually cherish. They keep thinking too much about the future and then reflecting about the past, making sure that they don't do, you know, past mistakes and focusing too much on the future, but not knowing about the present and how important the present is. So, you know, I went for a lot of reflection. And with this whole lockdown, man, I've connected with family, you know, because with music, I was always about. I was traveling, performing, rehearsing, studio. I didn't have time for family. I connected with my dad. Happy Father's Day, by the way. Love you, Dad. Love you dearly. So I've connected so much with my dad. I can actually sit down, you know, me and my dad can open a beer, we can have a drink, you know, we can talk, have long convos, and it makes me actually realize that, you know, family life is beautiful. You know, the little things that we take for granted is so beautiful, like family, like going to the park, like just walking, you know, it's beautiful. So it's made me appreciate and look at life in a whole different perspectives. That's one thing I love about the whole corona.
As a recording artist, what sort of pressures do you face?
I think it's the social pressure in music, you know. I think a lot of people tend to get depressed when they see that they're not making moves, or they're seeing that the other peers of the other artists are making better moves. You know, social media nowadays allows us to look at other people too much and not look at ourselves. So it's a psychological thing. If you observe others too much and don't observe yourself, then you start thinking that you're not doing good, whereby you don't actually know what the other people are going through. You know what I'm saying? So social media has created a kind of social pressure to make us feel like we're not doing too well, whereby we know that we are. So I think that's like the only disadvantage that we sometimes as artists go through. And it's not only artists, it's whatever walk of life that you may be in. You know, you might just be a normal person and you see someone buying a car, or they've just posted up that they've bought a car and you're not even driving a car yet. You want to get that particular car, and you'll see that they're driving, so it can make you feel some type of way. So we need to go into the aspect of just cherishing ourselves and cherishing who we are, and just appreciating who we are, not to look at others. So I think that's the social pressure that a lot of artists have been going through. And not only that as well, I think, you know, for the fact that, you know, artists are not having access to studio, they aren't able to actually go to live performances and connect with people physically, you know, and just even doing live interviews. Now we're having to do live interviews like this, you know. It's a big difference whereby when you're physically with someone and when you're doing a live interview just like this, it makes a big difference. You know what I mean? So that aspect, that human touch, is being lost a lot. And I think a lot of people are going through a lot of that. But again, it's a way of life. And it's a way that we have to really adjust, because this is going to go on for a very long time, very long time.
Yeah.
with the Black Lives Matter movement, we've got like a lot of black representation between the ages of 18 to 24 in the music and in the sports industry. But why is there a decline of representation of black people between the ages of 45 to 65 in the music industry as music producers, music directors, and same thing with Premiership footballers? Why don't they convert into Premiership managers of black origin?
What it is that I just personally feel that, black people, we don't have that access. And once we do try to get that access, it always gets declined. It's just the pure fact of it. It's been going on for a long time. When I look at the Premier League and the managers, predominantly 99% of the managers are white. At least you can see it. When you go to the parliament, and what the if you look inside the parliament itself, predominantly it's white. I can't speak into much into that asset, but I can speak into the musical asset. Hence the reason why, I jumped into Afrobeat, and I wanted to do everything African orientated and push, African people to start doing more African music and bring that up there, rather than, because before I used to do R&B. I went to X Factor. I was, surrounded by a lot of white people, but the connection still wasn't there. But when I performed in front of black crowd or different ethnic minorities that were non-white, I felt more of a connection. But in terms of the question in what you're saying, is that we don't have the access, the resources aren't there. We haven't been educated in terms of, we're not motivated. We haven't seen a black Premier League manager. That hasn't been seen. So how can I be motivated to go towards that asset? Me as a musician, you see like a lot of maybe black young African guys, because I do Afrobeat, they'll be like, okay, do you know what? He's doing it and he's doing it well. Maybe I can do it as well. So that asset is there. In order for the faces to be made, we need to fight for us to have the resources and the equality for us to also go into that, into that status.
I've been speaking to some peers, and especially my black friends and black female friends as well. They go, the reason another issue in the black community is that there's a lack of male leadership. Fathers don't tend to stick around with families. They tend to, after a few years, move on, and there's not enough leadership. And also they say in society, they're a bit too loud. They just can't fit in. Now, these are very stereotypical comments, which I find very derogative. I don't find these are respectful comments. Why do people make these comments in society?
That's a very good question. I'm glad that you asked that question as well. The true fact of it is that there are a lot of black role models, black men, but they're not shown. That's literally that. Okay. There are a lot of black successful men, black educated men, black men who've been through to university, black men who are in a relationship and they want to hold their women or their family well, but they're not shown. Their people are they're only talking about the wrongs, but they're not focusing on the ones that are doing right, and that's just a true habit of it. And that is a way of suppressing and controlling the mentality that people have of black people. The more that you talk about the wrong, the more that you have a perception of what people are going to be. If we talk like a relationship, for example, if you talk bad about how bad relationships are, more than likely you're not going to want to be in a relationship. If you talk good about how good a relationship is from someone who's been in a relationship, then more than likely you're going to see people who are going to be motivated, even those that have a negative mindset. It's all about what's been showcased. I guarantee you, if you go to like certain, if you go to like particular churches of people who hold values of family, who hold values of relationship, men who hold values of relationship, our voices are never heard of. We don't get heard of. We don't have that access. People don't come to us. But yet you go to some, some ghetto side or some person who's been taking drugs for a long period of time, and then from there you find out that they were in a relationship, they gave children, they were in a family, and then after next one, that role model in the family of a male is gone. That's who we hear of all the time. change the subjects, do your research first, and find the people who do represent, you know, the black men who are passionate about, you know, about who we are, you know, how strong we are, how we can hold families together, you know. That is very important. How we can hold our black women together as well, how we fight for the rights. I'm telling you, there aren't a lot of that. Hence the reason why with the whole Black Lives Movement, you're seeing a lot of people who are standing and talking, because they've had enough. They've had enough of people saying that we're not strong enough, or black men there's not enough leaders out there. And once a black man becomes a leader, they get oppressed down. So how would they get motivated? When Obama became president, you know, people were calling him names. They were saying that he wasn't doing well. So in that position, when a black man gets in that position and he's been tormented, he's been, you know, discriminated, then how are you going to expect another black man to work hard to be in that position if he isn't inspired enough by the world? It don't make sense to me. But, you know, in due time, you know, this thing, there will be a conflict, because people are getting awoken, you know, people are getting educated, you know, more knowledge has been given in what's happened in, you know, in history, what's happening now, and what's happening behind closed doors. More light is being shed, and that's the reason why you see that there's this inner rage and fight that, you know, black people are standing up for.
Okay. In closing, I'd like to ask you, with what you know now in the music industry, what would you do differently if you had a chance to go back a few years?
What I would have done differently is educate myself a little bit more so that I won't make mistakes, because I never really had like a mentor with me. So I went through a lot of mistakes in order for me to learn and become who I am like today. So that would be what I would teach myself. And the artists who are coming up and new in the game, I'll always say, always study, always educate yourself before you step in or make any actions or decisions. Research is key. You know, research is key. And if I do become very popular in the industry, I would love to create some kind of, again, resources to help people. You know, what I didn't have, what I lacked on, you know, me struggling to put finances together to go to the studio, me not, you know, the popularity, not getting into my head and being focused and being grounded to ensure that I won't lose path is also very important. So I would love to educate people more and be a role model to the, you know, to the black young men and women who are coming up into the Afrobeat industry.
You've been amazing to coming on the show. I think you've been brilliant.
This is my first ever interview I've had since being on lockdown. First ever.
Oh, wow.
So
thank you so much for having us and joining us. Now, if viewers wanted to buy your music, where should they go to?
Literally, Google my name, Valentine Artist. That's all you need to do. Valentine Artist on all social media, Valentine Artist as well. I'm not hard to reach through Facebook, Valentine AfroBeat. Okay. Yeah, support your boy, man. History in the making, and hopefully I can motivate our, you know, the black community to, especially the black men as well. You know, especially I talk for the black men, especially the black men. You know, to do well, for them to change their mindsets and for them to have the right assets enrolled. Because once we lead right, the others will follow us.
Thank you so much for your words of encouragement and positive vibes. And goodbye for now, everyone. Bye.